been crazy. It's been a crazy end to the week. Anyways, look, the US election is now over, and I think it's pretty obvious who the winner is. Joe Biden, yeah? And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending what side of the fence you're on, Trump is now a goner, yeah? Remember, I made a video on this talking about several different catalysts in the last quarter during which you could actually make money and you could take advantage of it. If you did miss that video, then make sure you click somewhere at the top. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through certain elements, and I'll point you in the right direction of what to look out for in the next few weeks and potentially how to make money in these markets, even if you're not overly knowledgeable about it. Just a little bit of research would put you on the right path. So we all know it's been what would you call it, reality TV show pretty much, you know, from the debates down to everything. But anyways, Joe Biden ended up winning 270 plus electoral votes, and obviously he needed 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. And obviously with Trump alleging that it's, you know, fake news and it's false and it's, you know, he's basically putting a lot of doubt in terms on the integrity of the US election. What does the future look like? I don't know. I think there probably will be bogus court cases from Trump to try and, essentially speaking, delay the inevitable, because Joe Biden is going to be the president. But anyways, how does this affect us and the stock market? If you've kept an eye on the stock market, then you would know that certain categories in the stock market has been flying well off. The first category being marijuana stocks, the next one being EV stocks, and then the final one being Chinese stocks. So we'll go through each single one of these. I will give you pointers in terms of the stocks to actually look out for, and then I'll tell you, essentially speaking, how to potentially use this to your advantage and how to just keep an eye on the market and so on and so forth. So let's start with Chinese stocks, right? Listen, it's fair to say that moving forward, right, with Joe Biden being the president, relationships with the US and China will get a lot better, a whole lot better, because some of you may or may not remember, depending on how much you pay attention to world politics, but there's been a massive trade war between the US and China that even led to things like Huawei, the technology company, being banned, and so on and so forth. Like massive. There's been sanctions on both ends, and like economic sanctions and whatnot, and even down to the petty stuff, you know, the Chinese flu, as Donald Trump would call it. And when you start saying things like that and being as disrespectful as Trump has been, then, you know, it's easy to, essentially speaking, just damage the relationship between the country. But now with a Biden win, I believe that, you know, the market would respond very positively. Essentially speaking, the market will anticipate Joe Biden attempting to repair the relationships with China. So I think that would have a huge impact on Chinese stocks. So I think these stocks will definitely do well. An example of this is Rito. Rito is a Chinese stock. CEO is Chinese, I believe. They're currently trading at like $65. And essentially speaking, they're involved in the manufacture and production of eco-friendly building materials, like, you know, bricks and tiles and so on and so forth, which I think is, you know, it's actually a great space to be in. And that $65 is quite significantly low. In the past week, they've traded 14% lower, so they, you know, the stock has fallen 14% lower. But now I think with this Biden win, there's a potential for this to rocket. We'll probably revisit these stocks that I'm going to mention in this video in future and see how they fared and see whether I'm right with, you know, the sort of my feelings about these individual stocks. But anyways, right, this kind of ties in to the climate change stuff, which would be the next sort of area or the next sort of stocks that would do well. So think about it. Firstly, it's the Chinese stocks with relationships being repaired, and secondly, they're already in the sort of recycle and reusing and clean energy and so on and so forth. You know, eco-friendly building material sort of field. So automatically that's a field that will also take off. Because as you're already aware, right, or may not be aware, Joe Biden has already made a promise to reinsert the US into the climate change Paris Agreement, right? If you don't know, then know this. Donald Trump obviously took the US out of the agreement, and I think Donald Trump, has been quite erratic as a president, and I don't think he believes that the whole climate change argument holds much weight. So I think he's obviously acted accordingly, and I don't think he takes it seriously. So now Joe Biden has already said, look, if I become president, one of the first things I'm doing is get us back into the agreement, essentially speaking. So that's where you commit to like a certain amount of emissions and so on and so forth. So now what does this mean for certain groups of stocks? EV, electric vehicles, the Teslas are going to rocket, right? Obviously, again, this is all dependent on the company's actual P&L and their own numbers and the earning reports and so on and so forth. But we're making a wide assumption now, right? The electric vehicles are going to do really well. I'll give you an example. Like Solo is already picking up on it. Solo has increased, I think, 30% in the last week. Solo facilitates the production of single-seater EV vehicles, almost like a smart car, but literally single-seaters. They're based in the US. I think they're going to do well. They've been. I'm in that stock at the moment. They're up 30%. Another one being IDEX. I think IDEX would end up doing well as well, especially with the earning reports coming on the 9th. Again, I'm in that stock as well. They've held their gains, albeit small ones, 2% here, 3% here. There. They've held their gains for about, I'd say, probably 3-4 days now. And I think with this news of a Biden win, that will be a well-needed boost. And then, if there is a quarter-on-quarter growth on their earnings report, I think that will be the catalyst for them to actually go through the roof. So these are the two stocks that I'll probably say, look out for. Moving on to the third and final phase of this group of stocks that will benefit from the US election, I would definitely say marijuana stocks, right? So if you know anything about US sort of politics, you would know the Republicans control the Senate, and obviously Donald Trump, being a Republican, was also the president of the US. And now with this change, in the sense of the Democrats now being the actual holding the seat of the presidency, it's easier for federal legalization of marijuana to actually be passed in the near future compared to what it would have been under Trump. 110%, right? And there has been indications of it from even Biden himself that he supports that, and I think now with a Biden win, a clear win, it would still be slightly difficult because obviously they don't control the Senate, but I think the path to federal legalization of marijuana stocks is a lot easier and a lot smoother. And in fact, some marijuana stocks are already pricing that into the market in terms of a Biden win, and they're starting to rocket. I don't know if you know about Aurora, for example, or Aurora Cannabis. They've gone up, I think, 140% in the last week. So if you put 10 grand in that, you'd have been like, you'd have been pulling out 24 grand in total. So huge win. So that's that. And alongside other sort of cannabis companies, I think Aurora actually is a Canadian brand, but obviously with a huge influence in the US and huge sort of base in the US. And Aurora is, in my opinion, a really good one to get into, even though they're up massively at the moment. The reason why I say that is, if you look at Aurora, they've traded, they're currently trading on, I think, just under $10 a share, right? But it's a massive drop from where they've been before. They've traded at $120 a share before. So that shows that, the scope and the room for growth is just phenomenal. It could end up doing 1,000%, essentially speaking. So these are the sort of categories and the areas or the stocks that I think would do well as a result of a Biden win. This video, I just sort of thought I'd go out on a limb and just get it done and put it out for you guys. Bearing in mind, today's Sunday, the market opens tomorrow. And I thought, if you benefit from it, you benefit from it. Obviously, make sure you do your own due diligence and trade according to your strategy. If you're a long-term trader, if you're trying to scalp, whatever it is, just trade according to your own research and according to your own strategy. Generally speaking, trading is not my forte, but I do have a decent amount of trading knowledge. Well, not trading knowledge, just knowledge in general with regards to the stock market. And I use the stock market to raise money for the property investment side of things. But anyways, that's that from me, man. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will try and revisit these stocks in about a week or two and see how well they've done, or maybe even sooner, depending on what the market looks like on Monday. Hopefully it's a green day tomorrow. But anyways, have a good weekend and make sure you like, subscribe and comment.